Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen, we are going to do something interesting here. Now, as some of you are aware, uh, all of my streams are gone. Uh, and there's a long story as to why that potentially happened, but we reached that point, and there's just a tremendous amount of content, sadly, that's gone. Um, the Palworld and Pokemon Coliseum streams are gone. That game's on the back burner. Um, the Metal Gear Solid 4 Let's Play streams are gone, and we'll jump back into that sooner rather than later. Helldivers 2, I've been playing a ton of outside of the stream, but I definitely want to do something with that, as well as Tekken 8. Now, the Tekken 8 stream, there's three of them, and they really were mainly the story mode stuff, so obviously we can always do that again in the future, but we're not, I don't think that's really uh, super important to jump back into. But the game that I have been playing through really the most has been Persona 3, and we were hitting the 10-hour mark, and sadly, because of the streams disappearing from the channel and me not having a backup, uh, those first 10 hours are gone. Now, I think for the sake of continuing the playthrough, um, we're just gonna keep going. But I do think it's important, which is why this is part one now. I had done 6 parts previously, but those are gone. So this is really part one, and it's a very quick part one because all I'm going to really do is for those of you that did not see those streams and might be interested in seeing the continuation of the story, just reintroducing where we were in the game through explaining the main characters. Most of them are here, although we haven't met all of these. We're still very early into the game's story, so I think that we can actually kind of do like a short summary of the story so far. That way, when we do part two, which will have a backup, we won't have to worry about this issue. So here's the cast. We have our main character, the protagonist, Makoto, which is their canon name, but you can name them anything. And right after him, we have Yukari. So Yukari is one of the first people that we interact with in the story. Junpei, who also is, someone that we were introduced to early on. Akihiko, who we also meet, is not playable yet. Mitsuru, who is pretty important. And then obviously we have a few other characters. We have the rest of them here that we'll talk about in the game as we, are introduced to them. So, just to kind of give you some context, we're, I believe, in May in the storyline. Now, it's basically the type of JRPG where there's a passage of time. This is something that the Persona games are pretty widely known for, that you start out in, actually the past few, you start out in April, and then basically spend a year of in-game time, fighting the monsters or whatever the enemies are. In this game, the enemies are these shadow monsters or demons that occupy the midnight hour. So when we're first put into this world, our protagonist actually is walking around the location that this is set in, which is a fictional city, but it's named Tatsumi Port Island. And he's transferring there to a new school. He's a high school student, and he's going to his dorm, and you see all these coffins and this green, this green tint and blood, and it's very disjarring. And then he's introduced to this this little boy when he walks into the dorm, who looks like concierge at first, but turns out to be some type of apparition. And we haven't even really gone too far with him either, but basically we were introduced to that. We were introduced to the personas, and the fact that he has special powers, as well as the other protagonists have the ability to summon these personas. They the first encounter was at the dorm. The protagonist was, and this is very early in the story, the protagonist was put in, basically the hospital for a week of in-game time. He gets out, and then slowly the story that we've encountered so far is they finally go to this place, the Tartarus Tower, during the midnight hour, and we did defeat the first major boss, which led us to like the 21st, 22nd floor, where the game finally blocked us off from continuing, and then we had to board the monorail that was taken over by the shadow monsters. We defeated that shadow monster, and we're on the next section. We're not too far into the game story-wise. There's some other characters. There's an old couple whose son passed away sadly, who worked at the school, and there was a persimmon tree that they planted, and now it appears that it might be cut down. So that's one of the major side story beats that we did. We general kind of slice of life though interactions as well between these characters. Building up building up a friendship. So I don't fucking mince my words. They've built up a friendship, and obviously, that's kind of pivotal to the story. But besides kind of just the slice of life stuff in that first boss encounter, we're very early in the overall story. So, there's obviously plenty of cool moments that are now gone from the stream. The stream's being taken down, but this is pretty much where we are plot-wise. So we're in May. We're not too far into the game. School-wise, there's the first set of midterms. There's not anything particularly shocking for Persona fans. So we're getting into the Tartarus Tower, but we're still very early into that, and we're still relatively early into the plot, right? We're still we're really still in the first act, right? We're not even halfway through the first act. So just a little recap. Thank you guys once again for tuning in, and it's very sad that the videos were taken down. There's a story to that. It's in Fred's Halo stream, Dead Wars Halo stream that I did with him that might be going up either today or tomorrow, but that is really just a summary of the story so far, the major plot points. There's little things I could say, like Junpei end up transferring to that dorm, so he's there with the protagonist and other characters that we've been introduced to so far. The what's his name? Akihiko. He's an upperclassman. He was a boxer. He got injured. Mitsuru, she's an upperclassman, a boxer. The protagonist also got into a couple of clubs too, which we'll explore. But that's really just a summary of what happened. Thank you guys once again for tuning in, and we'll continue with part 2 relatively soon. Godspeed.